I am back.
Hello.
Hello.
Hear me?
Hello, Matthew.
Hello, Matthew.
Hi,
Hello,
guys.
Matthew.
Well, a panel about technology without a technology failure to start it would be a shame. I'm thrilled to be here virtually, but even after that technological disaster, I'm even more sad not to be there in person. But maybe next year. Um, I'm Matthew Drinkwater, head of the Innovation Agency at London College of Fashion, and I lead a team that is experimenting with emerging technologies and their impact on the fashion and retail sector. I'm really thrilled to be joined by an amazing panel. So let me introduce them. CEO and founder Anna Franziska Michel is the winner of the Digital Female Leader Award, and her business Yoona AI is one of the 1% of companies worldwide in which tech stars have invested. Renowned companies such as Oberall Group, Frost, and Vorda already trust Yoona AI, who Anna says can become the Tesla for the fashion world.
Hello.
Also with us is Archibald Charlet. He's the Startups Program Manager for LVMH and has been working on retail, marketing, and structural changes induced by emerging technologies for more than 8 years now. He's passionate about innovation and its impact on existing business models, as well as the reaction of industries confronted by disruption. Antje Hundhausen is VP Brand Experience at Deutsche Telekom and has over 25 years of experience in executive positions in the IT, telecommunications, and tourism industries. She's a business administration graduate as well as being a music and arts expert and is creatively driving the brand across Europe, developing sustainable retail design concepts, hybrid fairs, lifestyle tech labs such as Fashion Fusion, and is curator of Art Collection Telekom during the pandemic. She launched Magenta Moon Campus, an amazing initiative for digital education. And finally, Fabian Vogelsteller is the founder of Lukso Blockchain. He was part of the Ethereum Foundation in its very early days. In November 2015, he proposed ERC20, the token standard that initiated the ICO wave, the decentralized finance movement, and redefined investment and crowd ownership as we know it. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I'm really thrilled to be sat here with you today. So let's get started. Anna, I want to pick up with you. As someone who's leading the way in technology, using artificial intelligence to create a more sustainable and intelligent fashion industry, how will Yoona AI change the way we make and sell fashion?
Yoona AI is combining performance data, visual company data, and trend data to create designs in only one click. That means neural networks, as part of artificial intelligence, is learning big data and creating designs. We are not only shortening design processes and cutting costs and time, we are also enhancing creativity because if you can create basic items with artificial intelligence, you have so much more time for creativity. And we are also enhancing sustainability because if you create data-driven and customer-centric, you're much more closer to your client, you don't have overstock, and you know exactly what your client wants.
So I'm fascinated by the use of artificial intelligence in fashion and retail. Do you think, Anna, that the industry is ready for generative design? Is there not a lot of fear surrounding the use of these technologies?
First of all, when I go to the companies as a designer and talking about my needs, I don't see any fear. I see people nodding. And the last year of pandemic showed us how we need to change this industry. And the question for me and for all the industry should be how long we have to change and to implement new technologies, to change our processes, to change our back-end processes. So if we have a look to the climate, I would say we should change now. If we have a look to the success of the company, I'm always saying or giving the example of Otto and Quelle. So everybody knows who's successful now. And I think we should be ready now, and we have to be ready now in this industry to change to more generative designs.
Do you think we have the skill sets in the industry that can make that change right now?
I mean, we are here. I'm here. I was a designer myself. I started with fashion design and I changed to, how's it called in English, IT economics. I built a research group. So I think I'm going also to the university. I see myself as an ambassador. And I see the university is changing, and so is changing the industry. If young people and students are coming into the industry with new knowledge of technology and digitalization, we have everything what we need.
Okay, well, I mean, that's exciting. I wonder whether, kind of using all of these different data points within a business, we can perhaps shift from fast fashion to, if I could say, a more intelligent fast fashion. Is that what you're trying to establish here?
Yes, that's what I think. I have my experience with my label. So we educated the consumer a lot. So now my passion is to democratize sustainable fashion for everyone. And this is intelligent fashion doing. We change from the back end in the industry to help to create more conscious consumption and yes.
Amazing. And Antje, I want to kind of switch on to Deutsche Telekom because I'm intrigued at what the role is of Deutsche Telekom in the fashion technology ecosystem, and how are you supporting startups and engaging creators within the ecosystem?
Yeah, we started this amazing journey 5 years ago by founding the Fashion Fusion program. And this is something which was originally a challenge where we invited fashion designers, product designers, and people from the technology industry to develop prototypes to see how we can unleash the creative potential via digitization. And when for us as Telekom, our role is being an enabler and also a connector. We connect all these different industries, and until now we see much more we can connect. This is just a start with the Fashion Fusion program, and we developed the heatable capsule collection, also market ready. Product which is actually also something like a Tesla, which has a function with integrated software. You have an app, and you can have the possibility to walk through a cold winter and get some heat, but very nicely with 3 different grades. And this is also a start. Then the next step will be integrating artificial intelligence, 5G technology. So we are the enabler with our technology. The technology should be invisible. What counts is the beauty of fashion. And for us was also the aim to bring the beautiful of fashion into technology.
That's amazing. It's really exciting to see kind of tangible examples coming out of the Fusion Labs. But as a telecoms company, I kind of wanted to ask you a little bit about communication, because digital fatigue, and look, I'm doing this through another Zoom call, another digital call, and I think digital fatigue is something that probably all of us have experienced over the last 18 months. How do you envisage digital experiences needing to change the way we communicate and connect with each other in the future?
The amazing thing we experienced, I think all of us during the pandemic, was that digital proximity is something which is really bringing so much connectivity and communication and closeness to people. And for us, it was during the pandemic also very important not to sit in the virtual room. We also, between the 2 lockdowns, we set up the Magenta Moon, which was a digital campus, not only digital hybrid campus. We invited schools, teachers, parents, and closed this gap of missing digital skills and bring a digital fitness into the society. So we very much believe that the combination between physical and digital is something which enriches and gives people the possibility to get closer, to communicate as we do now. You are in Paris and in London. So there is a huge, much more possibility to interact and to be creative.
And I guess the creation of those more immersive type experiences are going to have an impact on future retail. Is there kind of any vision that Deutsche Telekom has for how that could impact your future retail rollout, perhaps?
Yeah, I'm totally convinced, and as I'm responsible also for the Europe shop design for Telekom, that we now transform also there the shopping experience from sales driven to a much more emotional an experience which brings programs, workshops, do-it-yourself programs, also. Gamers are invited. We want to have a more social place instead of having just a place where you can buy some new devices or tariffs.
Yeah, amazing. And whilst we're on kind of the topic of retail, I think probably Archibald, it might be a good time to have a chat about what LVMH is doing, particularly with startups and how, I mean, LVMH has been working for some time with startups and what you have been doing with that startup ecosystem and how it's impacting what you're seeing in market today.
Sure. Thank you for the question, Matthew. It's actually quite simple. At LVMH, we have what we call the startup programs, and it's composed of two different programs. And the aim is really to support startups in their relationships with LVMH, with the LVMH group. And the first program we have is called the LVMH Innovation Award. So more than an award, it's actually 6 laureates that are nominated in 6 different categories. And categories are quite broad with data and AI, employee experience, media and brand awareness, omnichannel, operations, sustainability. So really broad categories. And then we have one grand final winner of the Innovation Award itself. And it was actually awarded a couple of weeks ago now during Viva Technology, a big tech event in Paris, to Bamboozer, a startup that is based in Sweden. And they really help brands host live shopping sessions online, completely embedded on the website. And that's something that can be hosted by influencers or even by sales associates. So it's something that is extremely interesting to us. And so that's the first program we have, the Innovation Award. And then we have another program for startups that is called La Maison des Startups. It's a bit more classical. It's an accelerator program where we support 25 startups every 6 months in the goal to develop their relationships with LVMH. And it's 75 Maison. Historically, it was based in Station F here in Paris. Because of what we've been through in the past year and a half, it's now living in this kind of hybrid format in between Station F and Zoom calls, as we were mentioning. But
in the cloud.
And just we say accelerator compared to an incubator because it's really we select startups that are mature enough to actually be able to work with LVMH Maison. Meaning they need to have an MVP, a minimum viable product, to be able to deploy internationally if needed, if required. And we really help them navigate LVMH ecosystem. It's a big group, as I mentioned, 75 Maison. So we made sure that we help them identify the right stakeholders within the right Maison at the right time. And yeah, that's basically what we do within the startup programs.
And so you've been doing that for a number of years. And I wonder, I mean, of course, the startup ecosystem is very fast moving, very responsive. And then you have a large organization like LVMH. Have you noticed over the years the way in which kind of engaging with startups has started to change internal behavior at LVMH? Is there kind of anything you're doing to foster a cultural change internally at LVMH?
Sure. And well, LVMH has always fostered innovation. Creativity is really at the core of its values, and entrepreneurship as well. I think working with startups, having them part of our ecosystem, of the conversation on a daily basis, only reinforces the mindset. But maybe one beautiful example I can give is what we're doing with the DARE initiative. It was created in 2017, so a couple of years ago, like you mentioned, 4 years ago now. And it's LVMH Entrepreneurship Program, which allows any employee from anywhere around the world, any position, to post an idea. And if this idea then resonates with other people within the group, they can join the project and bring with them their skills, their knowledge. And their team, the support team for the incubation period, is then there to help them out and to make sure that the project can come to life. One very concrete example is Nona Source. It's a startup that got created and incubated by the DARE program, so within as an entrepreneurship program, and it's now a company of its own. It's an online resale platform that actually revalues dead stock fabrics and leathers from our fashion maison. And I think that's a really interesting project and example of this. It's also, to go back to your culture point, I think really interesting conversations when we have entrepreneur and startups and entrepreneur part of our programs that actually have conversations together. And I think it's always extremely meaningful.
Yeah, that's really cool to see that, and I've witnessed it myself, having mentored on the DARE program. I kind of wonder, when you are engaging with startups and looking at the technology roadmap you see in front of you, what excites you at the moment? Where do you see the most possibility for really significant change for our industry?
Well, I think there are a lot of very interesting things happening right now, but last year has been a bit complicated. I think we can all agree on that, but we've seen a lot of acceleration, a lot of change with our relationship with digital in general, and with e-commerce, digital platforms, and things are moving really quickly. But I think if I had to give maybe two examples, and maybe the second one is linked to the first one, is what is going on around digital fashion, around digital goods. And it's not entirely a new topic. With some of our maison and Louis Vuitton, for example, did I think a very interesting collaboration with League of Legends, which is a video game, a couple of years ago. They did something even before that with Final Fantasy. So the topic has been here for a while. But I think what we're seeing now is really interesting new use cases. And I have maybe two examples in mind. The first one would be what's going around, what NFTs actually enables, and everything that is around collectibles and this concept really of proof of digital ownership, which I think unlocks a lot of potentials, and we can imagine synergies with the creative industries, limited editions, and et cetera. The second one would be gaming, and I think that's why it's linked with the first one. But I'm a gamer myself, and I've seen for many years now, I've been wondering when is it going to actually merge the physical and digital worlds, and I've never been able to answer that question. But I think what we're seeing now is people actually getting there. And we have Aglet, for example. It's a startup that was actually the laureate within the media and brand awareness category for the LVMH Innovation Award I was mentioning. And that's exactly what they do. It's a Pokemon Go for sneaker fans, where you can collect, upgrade, repair digital sneakers by evolving in the real environment around you. And they're already creating synergies with real products and with real goods. And I think this is something that is really promising and really exciting.
I guess the industry has kind of been looking at digital products for some time, but kind of one of the things outside of the gaming world that was missing was perhaps an infrastructure. So Fabian, let's talk blockchain and NFTs, and they've been causing quite a stir across a lot of different industries, but particularly recent creative sector. I mean, what is the most important application of the technology? What does the fashion industry need to know about blockchain, NFTs, and digital products?
Yeah, thanks for the question. I think one of the most important topics here is that so basically, in order to really create like a new creative economy that has digital items that we can actually use in different places that we own and that we can like transfer around and like have a life in all kinds of platforms, we need a common infrastructure. We need a common blockchain infrastructure. But more so, and we have that, if you think about Ethereum, everybody's using Ethereum. If you want to do something with NFTs and smart contracts, but more so, we need actually the right standards, the right smart contract standards. And that's where my background, is I have been part of the Ethereum Foundation, having built a lot of the earlier developer tools, and then also proposed ERC20, which became like the first smart contract standard and like created all of this token stuff. But we actually need like proper standards for NFTs, and we need especially proper standards for identity on the blockchain. And when you currently look at how the NFT space works, and maybe for the ones who don't know, NFT is basically, it means non-fungible token. It's a smart contract sitting on a blockchain that represents a digital asset or a physical asset that can be owned and transferred. And when we look currently how these NFTs work on how currently people are doing it, it's very much not the way it should be. It's currently like a marketplace registry that just has a bunch of numbers in it, and everybody issues like a little number, and this number references some digital item. But there is no real reference to the actual creator and to a reference to a profile of that creator. And if you want to have this new creative economy that actually issues digital items, we need actually blockchain-based profiles. And one of the things that we have been doing is building the Lukso blockchain, which is a blockchain specifically for that creative space. And then also like coming up with standards, smart contract standards. So really like the low-level tech on how it works, of how these profiles can work, how NFTs can work, that they're actually independent, that they're owned by the creator, issued by the creator, custom made, can be done the way they want to create them, but then also be able to be transferred and bought and modified and all of these things. So rethinking this from the ground up on a technical level is necessary in order to really have this new creative economy that we are already like talking about since 2 years. And currently it's more like a gimmick, and everybody's just jumping here and there, and they want to issue an NFT here and there, but it's a bit of a joke if you look on a technical level how this works right now. And we need that more like proper infrastructure and standards.
How do we get there? Because I think this is the thing that, when we've talked about blockchain in the past, this is incredibly technical. Where do businesses begin to prepare themselves for these opportunities?
Hire a tech guy, I guess. It's a good start. So I definitely think like, if you want to do something in this space right now, it's very technical. So either you work with the right people, which is hard to tell who's the right person, or you actually get yourself some knowledge in-house that really understands smart contracts and the technology. Or do you wait until we have built the tools, the open source things, the platforms and so on, that it's for you more like a click and click and click and clicking it together. But it's always the question of when do you want to be part of something new and how much you want to help shape it. Because we are defining right now a lot of these basic standards, and we obviously appreciate input. It's all open source. We appreciate input, from different use cases, different angles of how we can approach things and so on. Because we want these standards to be as open, as flexible, and as unbiased as possible, in order that we create a future, or that things can come out of it that we don't have to envision and all know by now already. And we kind of have this already, but having this input from the outside, and that's why we're building also applications ourselves and building, for example, a digital fashion application where you would be able to wear digital fashion, buy it, transfer it. It's all owned by your universal profile, your blockchain-based profile. It's issued by a digital brand or a brand that actually has another universal profile, like a blockchain-based profile. So it becomes transparent in an app or in a website, but it's also transparent on the chain level. That's where it has to be transparent. So everybody can just build interfaces and show these things, implement these things. I think maybe like one good narrative of understanding blockchain is it's almost like a common database. So think of like everybody's using the same database, and there's rules and obviously the standards that we use in order that we are all compatible and we can interact with each other on the same database. But it's a common infrastructure that's not like run by one single party, it's run by everybody who participates. So, for example, when we start the Lukso network, then everybody can join and run that network and work on it and deploy things and so on.
And we only have a few minutes left, and that notion of a common infrastructure is something I wanted to bring it back to the new European Bauhaus, because I feel like when I look across this panel that there's so much breathtaking work being done in so many different parts of the continent that really my feeling is how do we connect all of that? But I wanted to ask all of you individually what the new European Bauhaus means for you and your relationship to technology. So Anna, really briefly, if you could just sum up that in a few words.
So I...
Who? Go ahead. Who? No, please start.
Anna.
No. Okay. So I think that's a new start what we have to do now. Also, after this pandemic, we all have to start new. So for me, the new European Bauhaus is a new start and a new episode of fashion industry with new technologies, with new chances, and working on sustainability together.
Antje, what about you?
I think with this start here, we set a base for a collaborative approach that it's European driven. And so far, I'm very thrilled that we bring all these great minds together and the experiences. And there's so many. There's so many potential here in Europe, and instead of doing it by country, to do it together. And I think this is something I'm totally convinced of, that co-creation, collaboration, this is what counts and helps us to speed up and to maybe be better than Asia and the US and see something that we have some good togetherness here.
I love that. Go Europe. Archibald, what about you?
Maybe I can talk just about startups. And I think what we have for us in Europe is also a really thriving environment for startups. And we see it accelerating. Again, what happened, I think, for the past year and a half has been a way to accelerate new solutions and really a startups ecosystem that is thriving. And I think it's really exciting and it's going to help all of us in building the world of tomorrow. So I think that's extremely positive.
Awesome. Fabian, any thoughts from you?
Yeah, so I think like what's really important is first off using a common infrastructure, that's one, but also using common standards. And I think it's very complicated for most people to understand smart contract standards, but once you use a common standard, integrating these things into all kind of websites, mobile applications, or attaching supply chain information, even if it's in some proprietary networks or databases, or attaching all kind of new kind of user experiences or royalty programs, all of these things become possible. And they all anchor into the same root identity that either the user already has or that even is the brand itself. And having this common single point where you can go find things and from there find everything else and applications can build around that, that's very necessary. Because right now we have in the internet these data silos everywhere. They build something, it's all not compatible. Nobody wants to build on top of another company API, because if they shut down, everything is gone and they have this vendor risk. That's solved with blockchain and using standards that are simply in agreement of using them. I think that's very important. And the other aspect is I see Europe can be a contributor. On the end, the blockchain and this whole technology is a global phenomena. It doesn't end in borders, and borders anyway are something outdated. I think we can be a contributor on a global scale, and we should do this through agreements and standards on a global scale. And then we all will work together nicely and be very compatible on a technological level. That's very important.
Amazing. Sadly, we are out of time, but I guess what's clear is that there is a very firm digital future for our industry. And I wanted to thank all of the panelists today, Anna, Antje, Archibald, Fabian, thank you so much. And to the amazing team at Fashion Council Germany. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.